Welcome to day 23 of our 31-day series studying the moral and practical advice found in the book of Proverbs intended to help us live virtuous and meaningful lives. Let's start by reading today's passage, and then take a closer look at the message. Saying 7 When you sit to dine with a ruler, note well what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are given to gluttony. Do not crave his delicacies, for that food is deceptive. Saying 8 Do not wear yourself out to get rich. Do not trust your own cleverness. Cast but a glance at riches, and they are gone, for they will surely sprout wings and fly off to the sky like an eagle. Saying 9 Do not eat the food of a begrudging host. Do not crave his delicacies, for he is the kind of person who is always thinking about the cost. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You will vomit up the little you have eaten and will have wasted your compliments. Saying 10 Do not speak to fools, for they will scorn your prudent words. Saying 11 Do not move an ancient boundary stone or encroach on the fields of the fatherless, for the defender is strong, he will take up their case against you. Saying 12 Apply your heart to instruction and your ears to words of knowledge. Saying 13 Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish them with the rod, they will not die. Punish them with the rod and save them from death. Saying 14 My son, if your heart is wise, then my heart will be glad indeed. My inmost being will rejoice when your lips speak what is right. Saying 15 Do not let your heart envy sinners, but always be zealous for the fear of the Lord. There is surely a future hope for you, and your hope will not be cut off. Saying 16 Listen, my son, and be wise, and set your heart on the right path. Do not join those who drink too much wine or gorge themselves on meat, for drunkards and gluttons become poor, and drowsiness clothes them in rags. Saying 17 Listen to your father, who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Buy the truth and do not sell it, wisdom, instruction and insight as well. The father of a righteous child has great joy, a man who fathers a wise son rejoices in him. May your father and mother rejoice, may she who gave you birth be joyful. Saying 18 My son, give me your heart and let your eyes delight in my ways, for an adulterous woman is a deep pit, and a wayward wife is a narrow well. Like a bandit she lies in wait and multiplies the unfaithful among men. Saying 19 Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has strife? Who has complaints? Who has needless bruises? Who has bloodshot eyes? Those who linger over wine, who go to sample bowls of mixed wine. Do not gaze at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. In the end it bites like a snake and poisons like a viper. Your eyes will see strange sights, and your mind will imagine confusing things. You will be like one sleeping on the high seas, lying on top of the rigging. They hit me, you will say, but I'm not hurt. They beat me, but I don't feel it. When will I wake up so I can find another drink? In Proverbs chapter 22, we were introduced to the 30 sayings of the wise. These 30 sayings continue in chapter 23 and include sayings 7 through 19. Let's explore some of the key messages that we find throughout this chapter. One lesson we can learn comes from in Proverbs chapter 23 verse 4. We read, Do not toil to acquire wealth, be discerning enough to desist, ESV. This verse reminds us that our pursuit of wealth should not be driven by greed or the desire for material gain. Instead, we should be content with what we have, and trust in God to provide for our needs. Though it is good to work hard and be diligent in what we do, we are warned not to fall into the trap of solely focusing our efforts to accumulate wealth. We must be discerning enough to know when we have enough and need to focus our attention on other aspects of our lives. On a similar note, we are instructed about other things that are more valuable than wealth, and so we should consider spending our time to acquire these things. In Proverbs chapter 23 verse 23, we read, Buy truth, and do not sell it. Buy wisdom, instruction, and understanding, ESV. This verse reminds us of the importance of investing in things that are truly valuable. In a world that is full of distractions and temptations, it is easy to waste our time and resources on things that do not truly matter. But by investing in truth, wisdom, and understanding, we are laying up treasure in heaven that will last for eternity. Another important message can be found in Proverbs chapter 23, which talks about the danger of envy. In verse 17, we read, Let not your heart envy sinners, but continue in the fear of the Lord all the day, ESV. This verse reminds us that envy is a destructive emotion that can lead us astray. Sometimes it seems appealing to do what we see sinners around us do, even though we know it is wrong. It may even seem like it would be easier to live in sin just as they do, but here, verse 17 reminds us not to envy sinners' ways. Instead of envying others, we should focus on our own lives and seek to please God, as we are only responsible for our actions. The actions of others should have no bearing on whether we do right or wrong. We should continue to fear God and follow His commands no matter what those around us are doing. One final key message that we will review today is in Proverbs chapter 23, which warns about the danger of overindulgence. Proverbs chapter 23 verses 20 to 21 says, "Do not join those who drink too much wine or gorge themselves on meat, for drunkards and gluttons become poor, and drowsiness clothes them in rags." These verses are cautioning against overindulging in pleasurable activities, such as drinking alcohol or eating excessively. It advises that those who engage in these behaviors will become poor and unkempt, suggesting that moderation and self-control are important for maintaining financial stability and personal appearance. Here, we are encouraged to avoid excess and practice self-control in their habits and behaviors. As we conclude our study today, we are reminded about the importance of discerning in matters of wealth, the value of investing in truth, wisdom, and understanding, and warned about the dangers of envy and overindulgence. As we apply these principles to our own lives, we can grow in wisdom and become more effective in serving and glorifying God. May we be diligent in seeking wisdom, and may the Lord grant us the grace to live according to His word. I hope you had a good spiritual workout. If you like this content, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel.